Good morning. Welcome to 90 Minutes with Mathematical, coming to you live from the studios of Eagle 7 Sports Radio, 103.7 FM. If you are in the Abeokuta, Ogun State axis, terrestrially, you can hear us on radio. Any other place, it's online, and you have the coordinates. 4 days ago, I appeared on the platform. The platform. It is that place where serious conversations take place on national issues. And those issues eventually serve as a compass, sometimes as conscience, and sometimes they provoke conversation on Nigeria and even beyond. And this happens during the anniversary of our independence every year on October 1. It was a great and humbling experience for me to sit with very learned and knowledgeable Nigerians and to dissect several aspects of our Nigerian nation and bring them to Nigerians with such clarity and understanding of the fundamentals of those issues. Truly, truly humbling. And I want to use this opportunity to commend and to thank the man who makes this possible every year for all of us Nigerians, everywhere we are in the world, and all those that listen in to this global event, Pastor Poju Oyemade. I'll be spending the entire period with him this morning, and I can see that he's already there. You can join us in the conversation later in the show. Better bring out your pens and write down these numbers so that you can call in and join us. The first number is 0700 22 55 1037. The second number is 081 27 82 84 97 via telephone. Of course, also on WhatsApp. I want to attempt that for the first time to see if I can read messages off our prompter here. The number is 070 67 28 0732. I see that the phones have started ringing. No, please wait. I will let you know when it's time to have this conversation with my very, very special guest this morning, who is wearing the wrong jersey. Once again, this is Eagle 7 Sports Radio, 103.7 FM, reaching you from our base in Wasemi, near Abeokuta. That serene, beautiful place that everybody has to visit. Well, my guest is here. As I announced to start with, the man is wearing the wrong jersey. I don't know where he got the color of red, but we'll ask him. I have the greatest pleasure to welcome the founder of Covenant Nation, and that's a church. And of course, he's the man and brain behind the platform, and he has honored me twice. So let me just welcome Senior Pastor Poju Oyemade to my show. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having me on the program.
Wow, good to see you. Except that yes, twice.
Thank you for the speech you gave at the platform. It's your two presentations have been really powerful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's start on a very light-hearted note. I've said it twice during this show that you are wearing the wrong jersey. How come you are wearing the red of not even, the Gunners, not Man U, but Liverpool? I thought that with everything that you have done, twice you've invited me, you should be wearing the jersey of Barcelona.
Oh. I'm wearing the jersey of the most successful club in England.
The way you just said it reminds me of someone who went to the same school as yourself, Dr. Kweku Tando. He went to Unilag, You went to what is it about Unilag and Liverpool? And what is it about Liverpool? What's your interest in Liverpool?
Well, to be honest with you, what happened was that, because people ask me how come I was a supporter of Liverpool. Really, what happened was that when I was very young, I remember about 8 years old, I think my father traveled abroad and bought me some cards. And I used to, on the cards, I think Kenny Dalglish was on it, Ian Rush was on it, and I just liked them. And that's how I just became a Liverpool supporter. That's what happened, actually.
Okay, don't worry. I'll convert you. I'll convert you when you want to watch.
I can't be converted.
Oh, thank you so very much. Look, let me just say this: you have fans. I didn't have the faintest idea. If you know how many, my site has almost collapsed with people reacting to you coming on this show this morning. Everybody has had something to say about you. 99% of them are positive. And I've just been, where have I been all these years? What has this man been doing? Why, incredible. It is truly, truly incredible. And not just in Nigeria, even abroad, So, I want to commend you. Whatever it is that you are doing, I would definitely pay more attention so that I can be part of the total acknowledgement, even though you have done so well for me also in my life. So we are talking, you are a pastor, without question. You're a pastor.
Yeah.
And one thing, that strikes me whenever I see pastors who are interested in football and so on, is a little story about a staff of mine. His name is Rotimi Clement. I think he went to Unilag too, but at the time he was worshiping in Unilag, and then one morning he just came and said he just preached to them that sports were demonic, that the things that players do before games, that clubs do during games, and all those things. Yes, I know. I play football, and I know what supporters and all those people around you would do. Those things, he said, they told them were demonic. So he resigned. He actually resigned working for me. But the consequence of it was that I now took up that challenge, and when the opportunity came for me to deliver a paper at G.O. Adeboye's birthday several years ago, I delivered a lecture titled God is a Sportsman. God is a Sportsman. After that, I was invited to First Baptist Church to come and deliver the same lecture, because it disturbed me for so long that anybody could have, I don't know how to put it now, bring God and sports and say that somewhere along the line it is demonic. Anyway, do you think God takes sides in games, in a football match? Before matches, we fast and pray. We fast and pray and all of those things. Where's the place of God in sport?
That doesn't influence.
Sorry, I'm starting on that note. Where's the place of God in sports?
If that were the case, then some people will have been winning 100 meters and will have won the World Cup in Nigeria.
Nigeria would. I don't think any country prays as much as we do.
We will have won the World Cup in Nigeria consistently, back to back. I mean, when we talk about the involvement of God, if a person brings God into sports, what God basically will do for the person is to teach the person the daily routine, and to teach the person and inspire the person teach the person unique what I would call systems that the person can put into practice, that when the time comes for the actual contest, then they can have an added advantage, which they can transfer that knowledge, all right, to other people. If they ask them, how come you are doing better than us, then they transfer, all right, that particular knowledge. So if people are praying, for example, that the Super Eagles should win the World Cup, then that prayer has to be translated into developing an organization that will be capable of delivering the World Cup. And in answer to that prayer, God can tell you that it will take you 10 years from this set date, not that the next World Cup you are going to win it. So that's how I see God, in when we talk about things like sports, or we talk about interacting in the marketplace where people call on God.
Incredible. One day I'm going to write a book. Actually, I'm going to write a book, not directly on that subject, but related to it. Particularly my own experiences when I was in the heart of football and the things that were done around me. And in 1984, if we had won the Africa Cup of Nations, the Africa Club Championship, if we had won it in 1984, I would have been a worshiper of something else other than Christ today. Because
that was ICC, have you?
Yes, that was ICC. And
I grew up in Ibadan.
Of course, now, even though you went to Lagos. No, I'm just saying we
were terribly hot that day. We lost the match.
Yeah, but you know what happened? What they did? They went on radio, and there were all these incantations and all those things and things that happened and all of that, and people assuring us, spiritually that this will happen, that will happen. And deep down in my heart, I was just saying, look, this must not happen. Because if it did, many of us would just say, yes, this is the way it is, and we'll start to worship things that we shouldn't worship. Anyway, that's not our conversation this morning.
Something flashed. I want to ask you this. On that day of the final, you had a bandage on. You were injured or something. Am I correct?
Yes, I had a very serious relapse of an injury, and I was not even supposed to play. I was not fit.
Yes, because I remember when they said Odegbami won't be playing. We said that's the end. So we saw you on a bandage and all of that. I think I remember now.
Yeah. They actually forced me to play, but that's it. So this morning we are discussing platform and other things. Some people actually said to me that are we discussing religion? I said, no, we're discussing platform and any other thing that we like this morning. I'll use this opportunity to get to meet Poju Oyemade properly. So the platform, I am watching from the outside and I'm thinking, what are this man's thoughts? What does he want to achieve after all of these years? You've been running this for almost 18 years now or something like that. So what is really your objective? And after every event, do you go home satisfied that you have achieved those objectives for the platform?
People ask me this question. I meet with people and they ask me that, you've done it for 18 years. Do you think that it has changed the country and all of that? And I'll get to the root cause. Well, let me just say this. But sometimes I think people have a very short-term evaluation on things because we can transfer that to many things. But here's the point. In 2007, when I was on campus, when I was there, so I thought about it, that look, people have to be taught and trained to come out to become in their professional lives. So that same idea, when I started church, I said, look, we need to have a forum where. Now, the reason why I came with that thought is from my own personal family background, because I came from a family and an area of intellectuals. And I remember one of the things that my mother, when I told her I wanted to go into the ministry, she said, look, my only problem I have with this is that will you be able to use your mind? Because you seem like a person who will not be satisfied or happy if he doesn't exercise his mind in things that he does. And I said, I'll use my mind. I said, okay, no problem with that. So I came from there. So when it got to, I think it was a workers' day, first of all, and I thought about it that, look, what we do is that, there'll be march past, labor unions and all of that. But this is about the workforce and whether we can have a program where people can come in to share ideas about how people can improve and transfer skills in terms of the workforce of the country. And talking about the free democracy and the free market economy focus on the free market economy, how to position themselves correctly. So we did that. And then October 1st came out, and I thought about it that, okay, maybe we could also do something in terms of national development and share ideas. So we're doing that privately, all right? But then October 1st, 2010, all right, came on, and we were told we used to use the TBS. We couldn't use the TBS again that year because the country wanted to do the Golden Jubilee, and they wanted to go back to where the independence was given, and they wanted to celebrate there. So we said, no problem. So we cancelled holding the platform. And then somebody in the church just suggested to me, said, look, why should we cancel? Let's do it. Let's make it televised now and make this a media event, which means we just get into a room. We just have about 300 people. It doesn't matter. And he gave an example of Premier League that most people that watch sports are not at the venue. The people at the venue just create the energy. The real issue is that where the real thing is happening is that billions and millions of people are watching at home. So we decided to change the strategy and go to that. So what happened is that obviously that meant that the public now was hearing these thoughts, and it changed the dynamics a bit of it. We're hearing the thought, government officials, were listening and all of this. And so what we decided is that we'll try and bring in people, regular people who come in and share their thoughts and opinion. The point about it is this, and it has somewhat worked very well, even though we may want to think out with some things, is that in a democracy, what actually drives policy and causes politicians to make decisions is that if an idea becomes popular among the people, then they are forced, all right, to make policies along because you don't want to lose power. And once people start thinking in a certain direction, you want to align yourself with that so you don't lose power. And so those kinds of things there is to put into the public space thoughts that become popular among the people, get into everyday conversation. The people in authority and power listen to it. They see that, look, this is what the people really want, and begin to align themselves with that. So that's basically the strategy behind it right now in terms of October 1st. So we are bringing people who will put into the public space thoughts and ideas that can catch fire among the general populace. And when it catches fire among the general populace, what therefore happens is that policies will change. And we have seen it. I have seen a governor tell me this. He keeps telling me, don't stop what you are doing. Don't stop what you're doing. Not just one governor, it's two governors. He said, look, a policy was changed in Yobe State. He said, they won't tell you that this platform that is causing these changes in this place. But I am in government. I know what is happening. One other one saw he was behaving somehow, and somebody asked him, he said, why are you doing this? Why come and say? He said, after what was said at the platform, I will continue doing this. So really, we can see that it's a place where people are listening in. And for example, I don't think that, and people are going to see it, that probably in the next budget or decisions that will come in on the issue of sports, there's going to be a lot, because the ideas that you shared there bought into, and we have a government now that is I mean, you can say whatever you want to say, but they are Democrats. In other words, they understand democracy, they understand popular opinion, they understand the power, all right, of people. And so if something becomes popular among the people, the tendency is that policies will be drafted, all right, to do that. So you are appealing to the very things that make politicians make decisions. It's not whether what you are saying is right or wrong, it's whether what you are saying has caught fire among people. And so they look at it as, from a enlightened self-interest, that it is in our best interest to go with these ideas because this is the way we are going to retain power. And that's the way it works in a democracy. That's just basically how it works.
You just mentioned Yobe State. And this time around, I'm not sure if I'm absolutely right or not. You went to another level. Probably a new dimension. I'm not sure if that's true. You went and brought the former president, a lady of Kosovo, and I was pleasantly not just shocked, but I was happy that I listened to her speech, because in her recall of everything that happened in Kosovo, I'm reminded of certain parts of Nigeria right now. I'm not talking of breaking off or something, but people, places like Zamfara, Taraba, those places remind us of the scenes out of Kosovo in those days on television. But tell us, why did you go to Kosovo? Why this lady? I don't know how to pronounce her name very well.
Oh yeah. What actually happened was that I get feelers from people. I talk to people about who do you feel and all of that. So I have a friend who was in Abuja and said, look, there is a lady who was the former president of Kosovo, that she has a very powerful story, and that and so when he told me, so because the concept of this particular platform was rebuilding the nation, I looked at it that this somebody who their country was finished, so to speak, and they had to start a rebuilding process, and she was right in the center of it. And I mean, you heard her speech with very, very, she became the president at 36. I believe that will inspire a lot of ladies, and also at the same time inspire a lot of young people. All right. I mean, she was literally the Inspector General of Police of Kosovo, trained. I mean, she's a trained woman in many things. So I just felt it will inspire ladies. It will also inspire people, and at the same time, there'll be some principles that they have used, in Kosovo that will help. So we try. I will look more into it now to look for pockets, and sometimes not even popular people, but people who have actually done some form of transformational work in different parts of the world and in places that are closer to the position we are in Nigeria. So I won't think of calling somebody, just say this, like United States of America, that's a very developed place. I mean, people may not be able to connect with that. But, if you go into places where, there's still some struggle that people can identify with, then in that way, something can be passed across that will just help people in terms of that. So I'm sure there are many young women who watch that. There are ladies who watch that who will be inspired by it. And there are young people who also will be inspired by her personal journey. And then also story that she, gave. And we introduced her to some people in government. And I think it has, I can't say that publicly, but it has opened up doors between trade relations that I think will also be helpful.
Incredible. I must say that this last experience was awesome for me.
Oh, it was very good.
Yeah.
No. It was very good because we pressed the reset button on platform and said, let's go back to what we originally was the original plan of platform, because the television audience kind of, I will admit this, kind of distracted us a bit, where people, some people want to have access to, but so went back. I said, look, let's go back to I remember when we started platform, one of the editions was stirring up the intellectual grassroots, one of the theme of the country. So it was to go and look for people who will bring very strong ideas. So we went back to people with a real intellectual bent in what they were doing, and that they will bring strong ideas, and that those ideas will enter into the consciousness of people. And these were people that are free of anger and bitterness, about the present situation, even though you may not like what's going on, but you understand that superiority of ideas if they get so that's why I think this last edition was one of our most impactful editions of platform.
People listen to you. Everybody listens to you. And the last thing that comes to their mind is religion. Yet, you are a pastor. Is it like a principle that you don't discuss religion on the platform?
Oh, yeah. On the platform, we don't want it to be we want the values of our faith. People shouldn't get, you see, the values. It's almost like you are passing across digested food, not raw food. So the values of our faith, the principles of which things we saw there, like somebody told me, she said, is when I watch platform that I come into contact with Nigeria at that, it's almost like, you mean we still have people like this in this country that are thinking this way. So the issue is that the values, the principles there for example, national development. So for national development, but we don't want to take it with a religious face there, because if you have a religious face on it, then some people are going to shut down. They won't even be open to you. And some of these people are the people who can actually change the policies and do things. And the audience is diverse.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yes. I said it. Everybody listens to you. And some mischievous people may actually be thinking that this man is preparing either himself or somebody else for leadership of some sort. And he de-emphasizes the religious part that is divisive. And then he embraces national issues and to provide solutions. Look, you are like the perfect, successor when we are talking of those who can take us forward. Everything you do is like a compass into the future of Nigeria. Are you thinking, are you preparing?
Yeah.
I know you will just say no. I know you will say no, but...
No. The answer is no. Now, it's not, it's a well thought out answer. It's no. You have to choose here either to be quote prophet or king. You can't be both. You can't speak to the conscience of a nation and at the same time. I think once you have that motive there, the power of what you are doing goes down. And let me say this, the government people, politicians know this about me. So they know, because the politicians, as much as we may say they are very brilliant people, socially speaking, they understand people, they make advances, they do things, they make calls. There was a year, not now, not last election cycle, but there was an election cycle that I knew all the people who are going to run for president because they all reached out to me. And I'm not talking about Southerners. I'm talking about core Northerners. So they know that this is how this person is, and that's what gives. So once you trade that, your influence is gone. I've seen people go on this path who switched it to try to acquisition of political power, and that was the end of that kind of thing. So the answer is a well thought out no.
The platform has been on for 18 years.
Yeah.
You have packaged all of this. You have listened to different viewpoints and so on and so forth. After 18 years, how optimistic are you about Nigeria, the future of Nigeria? Because
as I am now,
because these 18 years, let me say this,
96% optimistic.
No, Pastor, just listen to it. These past 18 years have probably been some of the worst years in our history. Have probably been, because I have been around for a long time too, and I've been part of society and all of that, and I've seen financial brigandage to the highest levels and so on, and nothing about good governance at certain times and so on. So how optimistic are you after 18 years of this? You're trying to profile solutions through Nigerians. You've gotten the best set of Nigerians to tell us about how to go about it, the future, and so on and so forth. Now you sit here. How optimistic are you that Nigeria?
I'm very optimistic. I don't want to be very specific about some things. I will have said some things in a very specific way that would have explained my optimism here. And I think that You see, I think Dr. Joaba spoke to this, and what happens is that, if we had left democracy from the 60s the way it is, we would have gone through some very traumatic times in the country. Of course, the reason why the military came in was that they saw an opportunity to come in, or even let's say it was 79. All right, 1979, the democracy in 79, let's even say that. They had reason to come in. They felt elections were rigged, and many people felt the elections were rigged in 1983. They felt this, they felt that, they saw. So they took the opportunity, and Nigerians said, because people respond to the immediate how they feel about things at that point. But then they got themselves in a long-term military rule and all of that. But you see, if we had left it, then the process in itself will get to a point where after some time, the citizens themselves will grow to the point where they will start making certain demands. And when I say demands now, in an enlightened way. And what will happen is that even people who are coming into political office, even though they have they may be selfish people, but in order to retain power, the only way you can retain power for your own selfish reasons will be to do certain things for people in order to gain that support. It may not be law for them, may be just for your own self, but you have to do it. Which is what happens in society. It's not that people are not selfish in those places, but it is that they have tied that selfishness there. They found the genius of tying it up to doing things in public for the purpose of having power, and you can only retain power. Because the opinions about. So I think we will have evolved, and I think Nigeria is getting to that point there. It's just that you say this, people say, but they've said it a long time ago, it didn't happen, and all of that. But I think so. I think we're getting to a point where a time will come where even if you want to be a governor of a state, you may just want your name to be governor, but you know that you can't win an election, neither can you retain power without you doing certain things. And it's when we get to that point, that so I am optimistic. I felt that I still feel that this 79 people should have been left. Yes, there was all bastardization, all of that, but eventually, people will have matured in democracy to that particular point. So we truncate it again. And then something happens, and then we truncate it again. I think in 1999 the country started going on the right course. But something happened, and then I think the country is back on the right course now. This is what I think.
We are modeling our country after a country that is not the best advertisement for democracy in the world now, and that's the USA. But that's not our conversation. That's not our conversation this morning. Believe it or not, people will be watching us and listening to us, and they will just be thinking that, what the hell are these people talking about? Shegun is not talking football or sports, and the pastor is not talking, But in truth, this is the Eagle 7 Sports Radio, 103.7 FM, and we are reaching you all the way from Wasimi. Do you know Wasimi, Pastor? Do you know Wasimi? I've
never been there, but
you have to come.
Because of you, but I've never been there.
You have to come. Yes, this is, once again, 90 minutes with Mathematical. Is it really about leadership? Is it really about the kind of leaders we have? Or is it about, the systems not being in place and so on? All of us love Nigeria. I see how much you love Nigeria. That's the one thing I see. Every time I just set my eyes on you, I see somebody who truly loves this country and wants the best for this country. Is it really about the leadership, or is it something that is systemic? We don't have the processes, the policies, and so on in place that will guide us to that place of our dream. When I said publicly that Nigeria could be the greatest nation on earth.
It's a catch-22. Is it the chicken or the egg? But as it is now, we have to start with the leadership. Because we have to start with leadership, because the examples we have in the world where there was no leadership, there was no system, It was the leadership that created the systems. For example, Singapore is the leadership, so that's how that's the way we have to take it. Yes, the country, but you have to get leadership, and then the leadership goes through the pains of creating the systems. To a very large extent, and this is one of the things that that is the burden of leadership. Some people mouth that they want change, they want the country to be this, but when you start putting the systems in place for a great country, you will realize that many people, number one, do not understand how great countries are built because they will resist those things. And number two, all right, then you find out some don't know, and then some actually don't want the country, all right, to be that way. Okay, so you find out that you have to have a leader who has to, or leadership that has to be so visionary that it's almost like a parent that the child wants certain food or wants to eat or behave in a certain way, for the future of the child. I can't allow you to do this, even though they cry and they shout. But the child can tell you, I want something like this, but they don't understand the process of getting there. So, and like we say, here is where the problem also lies, because you are dealing with a democracy and its political power. And if you don't manage it properly in making reformations, then you may lose the power because the people feel that you are doing things against them. And then political opposition, who knows that those things are good, and exploits the feelings of the people against you. So you are trying to balance that at the same time. You also want. I mean, let me give an example. There was a day I was going through the airport, and I was traveling somewhere, and I was going to a country. Don't let me call the country's name. So I didn't take my old passport because I just got a new passport and the visa was on that country. And so there were two countries. I had a visa of two countries there. And I was stopped by the custom person, and he looked at it and he whispered something to the next person. And so the next person looked at me and said, we want to take you in. He said, by the way, what do you do? And I explained myself. And people started saying, oh, passport. So he looked at me and said, you seem to be like a big guy. He said, all right, here's your passport, and give me a reason. He said, you see these two countries, the reason why we flagged you is that it's a drug route. And so when we just saw those two visas, we just felt, this man, what are you up to? So we wanted to really grill you and all of that. And he said, next time you come to the airport, this was many years ago, come representing who you are. So he showed me somebody who had a retinue of people working with him. He said, that way we'll recognize you, not the simple way you've come, that we think you are an ordinary.
Wow.
So I'm just saying this. So tomorrow, if you now see that person working with people, they'll say, what's wrong with this guy? He's coming with people. He's a pastor. Why is he coming? But he was in the system actually compelled him, that we won't see you in that office or who you are, except you approach us this way. And somebody else is the one giving the passport to them, and you are standing afar off and you just nod, then we know you're a big man. So I'm trying to say that if we start changing those kind of things, people who operate like that are going to react. Even just telling people to stand on a queue, people are going to react. I mean, I said this before, going through the security in America, Donald Rumsfeld, who was Minister of Defense at one time, was patted down. He's Minister of Defense, put up his hand, and what they call them now, these guys, TSA people in America, were patting him down. You can't try that in Nigeria, because a man who has worked himself to that kind of political power, what you are doing is you actually are, to him, what are you trying to do? After all this, my year, finally I'm in this kind of powerful position and I have to stand on the queue. So you see, we are not wired, so people can be shouting, change, but if they really start infecting the change, then you come to realize that many Nigerians, either they don't know what it means, what the change is, or they don't. And the leaders have to be careful, because nobody wants to lose power. So when you're implementing it, you have to do it in a gradual process, or else even people that know you're doing the right thing will exploit it and lie to the people and rear up the emotions of people, and people are going to vote you out. So
I'm thinking, even just listening to you now, I'm thinking, what would it take for us to change our mindsets about those we want to model our lives after? You know, it's like in this environment, we celebrate, you know, power, we celebrate the rich.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how they get it. It's not a celebration of good conduct and good character. And just how can we ever change that kind of mindset in a country that we all believe is, you know, is the future? Me, I love this country. I travel out of this country to any part of the world. 1 week after, I want to come back. I want to come back to the no light, to the traffic everywhere, to the bribery at the airports. I want to come back to all of those things, because deep down, there's no place like Nigeria. How can we start that transformation?
I think the people that have the power to do it will be religious organizations. And to be very honest with you, I believe Nigerians are deeply religious people. And I don't think religious leaders are going about it the right way. Because if a Nigerian believes that he actually believes that he is offending or she's offending God, and there'll be eternal consequences for this, the Nigerian will respond. That's the way the Nigerian is wired. So if the person believes that the church or whatever, the mosque or whatever has accepted certain people, then as far as they're concerned, their conscience liberates them, all right, to do those things. A friend of mine, you know, Papola Austin Peters, once came, she wanted to do something, so she came to record in church. And she came into our service and she called me. She said, my brother, it's only a theocracy that can work in this country. I said, why?
Wow.
That I've never seen people disorganized, said in Nigeria. He said once they came in and it was the house of God, the way they were responding, that I've never seen this. She just come and said in culture shock that, what's going on here? So I think that, you know, and I always tell people that do public speaking. I tell them that, and that's why platform had so much influence and impact. It's not that people don't do the discussion, but you see, when it came from a religious body, it comes across to the consciousness of Nigerians differently. And I always tell people, if you are speaking to a Nigerian, and you do not, you know, infuse religious ideology even into a presentation that they may not connect completely with what you are saying. They may not at it, but they will not connect emotionally completely with it. So I think the power, to be honest with you, I think the power really lies with, at least right now, it may, so after some time it may change, but right now I think the opportunity lies for religious organizations in terms of what they say, in terms of who they accept, in terms of what they seemingly endorse in the public square. I think if that happens, I think that's
I agree with you entirely. But where we have celebrity religious leaders, what is the issue with that? And then we have all of religion that speaks about the power of humility, and yet we have true celebrity religious leaders. We're not criticizing anybody, but some would come out with a convoy of cars and, the sirens and all of that. Is it action or is it voice? Which should we, react to first?
Well, I don't want to go deeply into it, but let me give an example. Yeah.
And then we will get away from religion completely after this one. Let's go back.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, let me just give an example. I remember when I started the church, it was in a place where people used to hold businesses, and a gentleman came to me and told me, he said, look, go and buy yourself an expensive car. This is somebody who used to do business said, because, if people are going to follow you, they have to see something. So I think that kind of stuff also may have affected where somebody coming in believes that, look, people may not listen to me if I'm not, So I think that, but if there's going to be any place where we can have national transformation that transforms the country, it's as it is now. It may change in 10 years, but right now, the religious organizations have the power. They actually have the power to transform Nigeria.
This is Eagle 7 Sports Radio. You can join us in our conversation this morning, Poju Oyemade and I. Once again, the telephone numbers are 0700 2255 1037. The second number is 081 27 82 84 97. Just call either of those numbers and then you will be with us right here in the studio. We just I don't know. Let's go to Super Eagles, sir.
Yes, sir.
Are you a supporter of Super Eagles? Now we are in trouble.
I have to be a supporter, even though I'm detached emotionally because the pain is getting too much. So I don't. But I'm a supporter. But I'm not. I'm not emotionally involved like I used
somebody sent me a note. Let's take this call. Hello. Good morning. Hello. You are there. I wonder why you are not connecting. Hello. Good morning. Okay. Somebody sent me a note and he said, Segun, you are going to be speaking with a man of God. We need him. We need him to tell us now because we are in deep trouble in Nigeria with our World Cup program. Now we have been gifted a lifeline. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, sir. My name is Resident President. I'm calling from Elite, Abeokuta, Ogun State.
Okay, the Resident President. I don't know who that is. Is that a name or a place or a person?
It's a person.
Okay.
I am listening to your conversation and whether this in the building, and I pick a lot of courage and a lot of wisdom from the presentation, and I narrow it down to sport and politics in Nigeria.
Okay.
Like if you look at other Western African countries, like Liberia, Ivorians, Namibians, Sierra Leoneans, sports people speak for them, and their politicians listen. Then when you come to Nigeria, the politicians kill the dream of an average Nigerian from the street. They make you believe that if you have not gone to Europe, you have nobody up there to look up to, you are not even recognized in Nigeria. Look at 2020 NSAS protest. What happened? Nigerians were killed. And in 2025, you are telling Nigerians to celebrate an independence. What a country will celebrate an independence where its leaders are massacring its citizens, especially the future of the country. Then narrow it down to sport. Football, and the most biggest brand in African football, which is the Super Eagles, has now been politicized by the politicians, some selected individuals. They were unable to give Super Eagles a coach who can qualify Super Eagles to the World Cup and who can provide a fundable team for the Nigerian nation. They smuggle a coach of their own choice for us, imposed on us the kind of player that will be invited to Super Eagles, and kill the dream of a Nigerian child who is a sport lover and who is a football lover. Now, if you are playing a football in Nigeria, you don't have hope of being a professional because you had nobody to sponsor you, you had no connection with European teams, and you will not be recognized anywhere. The national team are meant for foreign-based players. And that is the reason why our own Super Eagles found themselves in this critical condition. And
okay.
talking about...
Ask a question now so that others can come in.
Okay. My question now is, will sports survive Nigeria? And will sports change the narrative of the politicians? That is my question.
Well, I can't even pretend to understand everything that you have said because there's so much that you said. But I hope Pastor can just say something in that regard. And then, the Super Eagles again and all of that. We are all experts in this field. You see, that's the tragedy when it comes to sports. Everybody that expresses an opinion thinks that their opinion is the right one. But anyway, what are your own thoughts? Yes. Somehow your voice...
I muted myself. I really don't have, I listen to him. I don't have, I don't think he asked a question. I think what he's making a statement. So I really don't have.
Something about our sports generally, with the Super Eagles in particular. There's the issue of politicians who are now running it. If you look at the administrative space of sports in Nigeria, you find that there's a preponderance of those who are less imbibed with the technicalities of sports. They are not from deep sport. They are more from, local government and states and all of that, put there, by their state governments, and they find themselves at national level, and they are running sports for us. So there's this conflict between sport and politics, sportsmen and politicians, as to who is going to be in charge of what. But here we are the people who are in sports. We are suffering. We haven't been to the World Cup in 8 years. It hasn't stimulated the economy of this country, hadn't added anything to our GDP, whereas we are the biggest sports country in the whole of Africa. We are not benefiting in any way, and so on and so on. We can just go on and on with the lamentation. But I don't know, just your simple thoughts on that. Maybe that will help.
No, well, I think we should go back to the model of Westerhoff, Admiral Augustus Ihom, and the way they arranged sports and the Super Eagles at that particular point in time. And I think that if they go back to that, that's my own figure, that's where we are most successful in terms of it, in terms of somebody in the helms of affairs there that had genuine interest in sports, that there was a direct line. And I think maybe that, at least for the time being, for the country to be able to, to be able to, for the football teams to be able to at least pick up and start winning. That's Super Eagles,
Pastor, don't let us burden you with those thoughts. The one that they said I should ask you is our Super Eagles and our World Cup qualification. And
are we qualifying?
No, they said I should ask you that, maybe
if
you
South
have this
Africa
crystal
wins all
ball.
their matches and Benin Republic wins all their matches, we'll be at home.
We need fasting and prayer. We need fasting and prayer.
South Africa wins all their matches and Benin Republic, but the good thing about it is I think Benin Republic is coming here to play. So if you can beat Benin Republic here, and hope that beat them very well, then probably maybe we can have a fighting chance of making it to the World Cup.
Okay. We start a gradual, countdown to the end of our conversation. But
I want to ask
let's take the question
because these players are top players. In fact, the South African cap.
Just a minute, Pastor. Just a minute. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Chief.
Yes, good morning. Who are we speaking with?
You are speaking with Mr. Paul Albert from Papa.
Okay, Mr. Albert. Yes, go ahead. Your contribution.
Chief, I want to thank you for making people giving people knowledge, everyday teaching, bringing wisdom men on this our Igbo nation to teach us good things. You understand? Every Saturday that I listen to mathematical 19 minutes this thing, you understand? I'm always learning from certain things inside it. You understand?
Yes.
You see, we are talking about the super agents to do World Cup and not going World Cup. We are just putting basing outside where the men have already finished. You understand? So, for you to be worrying past on whether we are going to World Cup or not, you want to pass us issue. You understand?
Yes.
So, we will not have anything to play for that, and our players to come back and play, whether they will win or not. That is my own suggestion. Thank you for learning us every day. Your teaching, giving us wisdom, knowledge, and everything. Look at this man that you bring today. You understand? I can tell you some certain things that I learned from him today. It's a very good idea to us. You understand?
Thank
Thank you for that. And the Igbo nation will be always going on.
Amen.
And we should be going to collect the best radio award at any time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief Albert. Best radio award for me. Pastor, okay, your thoughts. You are thinking of something. Yeah.
No. I mean, I agree with what that last gentleman said now. Okay, I was going to ask you. I mean, the South African coach, I remember now, said, look, he said nobody can touch Nigeria. I mean, this is what he said before he said, look at the quality of players these Nigerians have in the team. What I want to know is that, do you interact with those players? How do they feel? Because if they don't go to this World Cup, many of them may not go to it. Well, they may not be in form in 4 years' time. Don't they want to go to the World Cup?
Well, this is it's the Nigerian spirit. Ron Freeman would tell me that, look, you Nigerians, you are loud, you are aggressive, but you have some of the smartest people in the world, and your determination to succeed is almost superhuman. But we don't see it in your national team anymore. I thought that was in our national teams in those days. I remember, the Wabweze, Nwankwo, Aloysius Atuegbu, and that set of players that I saw in the national. When they were playing as if it was war. You could see it in their eyes as if they could kill the opposition team. But these days, I think our players, for some reason, I don't know what it is. Maybe because many of them, lived abroad, and just like the niceties of, organized football, and they just take it easy. It is about determination. It is about fighting hard. It's about running 90 minutes. The way Liverpool plays, they play up to the last minute. They are your box. They are, you see all of that, but we don't see that with our players. I don't know what it is, but I agree that somehow we have lost a little of that Nigerian spirit, that spirit of don't give up, fight till the end. You can't be beaten. You are the best, and so on and so forth. Hello, good morning. That will be our last caller.
Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning, sir.
Yes. How are you? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Babaji calling from Adegula, Balabi, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
My own question is that when you're in your era, sir, the times of your era, Amokachi, Nindel, Ipepa, name them, Amokachi, those eras gone, Okocha, they are gone, what is it called? The times of Mikkels are gone now. This is now another era. I want to ask, sir, in your era, sir, we don't struggle like this. If you don't bring calculator, sir, before we know where Nigeria is going to, is the next World Cup or the next Africa we shall score, sir. So I want to ask, who are the people running football, Nigerian football there, sir? What is the philosophy laying down there? Was laying down is there the one that changed the philosophy then in Nigeria football, sir? That's my whole question, sir. Where does sir? God bless you, sir.
Okay, thank you. You see, the problem with our programs here is that because I am involved, people, and we are talking football and sports, they will be asking me the questions instead of asking my guests the question. So forgive me, Pastor. Forgive me, Pastor, that,
I don't know. I don't know anything about the details of
exactly.
Sports.
Exactly. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. To be brief, sir, my name is Lord J from Washington.
Yeah, Lord J, go ahead.
I believe you are talking about nation building, sir.
Yes, all of it. Yes, nation building. Yes.
Yes, sir. As a student of political science,
okay,
there is a concept in the lecture we learn in the school. We call it Nigerian politics and government.
Yes.
This exposed us to what Nigeria has experienced in the past. In this context, during the lecturing, our lecturer has exposed us what enjoyment Nigerians has exposed to. And now I want to narrow it down to the present system of government. So there's a disconnect between the citizens and the government. There's a mistrust. I want to ask the pastor, how can we reconnect to the past that what would like to rekindle that hope back to the average Nigerians, to be able to have the trust on our government? Yes, sir. That's my question, sir.
Okay. Yes, a student of political science, that there's a disconnect between government and the people, and then how can we reconnect, with that past that was great before and what we have now? That was his question, Lord. That's Lord J.
Okay, I think if he's talking about politics, then he's talking about, I think he's going back to when we had democratic political leaders who, for example, let me just give for the sake of example here. Let's say UPN, because I grew up in Ibadan, so they will make promises on 4 cardinal points, and you can hold them responsible for the 4 cardinal points. They try to deliver it to the best, so you can at least. So that's where the trust came. The trust is that people make promises. Ideological. So there's an ideology to the party. They make promises based on that ideology and keep faith with it. But I think right now, what the problem is that we do not have any form of ideological leadership in our political system. There is no party you can hold and say clearly that this is what this party actually represents. And so, you can cross party, you can go to 4 parties, you can, political within 10 years, simply because you are looking for a position of power. So I think, therefore, there's no trust, because there's nothing you are putting down as this is the promise, all right, that we are making, and it's an ideological promise we're making here. This is the best way we believe people should govern, and therefore, this is what we're going to do, and you can hold them accountable to that. I think that's where that trust was built in the past in terms of political leaders and followers, and that is no longer in existence now. And but you see, this is my own belief here. I believe that if you see, things evolve in life, things begin to evolve. You see, you come to a point where it will become totally embarrassing for you. I mean, we have, for example, you have countries now in the Middle East that are becoming advanced nations that they were in this 20 years ago.
Yeah.
After some time, being a political, and you start having pockets of things in different countries, and after some time, it's going to become completely embarrassing for you to say you come from a country where it is assumed. Let me just give an example. Now, if you go for a meeting and you say, okay, just get your people on the internet to do this. And if you say my country doesn't have internet, I mean, you'll be totally embarrassed even as a leader. So it will come to a point where it will be completely embarrassing as a leader if certain infrastructures are not in place in your country, if certain things are not done. And I believe, this thing, so we shouldn't truncate it. If people keep, after time, the consciousness of people will get to a point where I think, this is my own personal opinion, all right, I think that even the anger that is in people towards political leadership, I think that because it is not channeled in a strategic way. So if you channel it in a strategic way, the tendency is that the leadership themselves have to act according to those things, or else they won't be able to hold on to positions of leadership. If it's just pure anger, they just hear anger, they are used to that. But if it's channeled in strategic ways, after some time, people are going to look at it and say, look, this thing is no longer feasible for us to do that. So I believe that, people shouldn't, because this despondency, this learned helplessness among people, and a lot of this is why it is important. Sometimes you have to be strategic. Even if you lose an election, you don't drive a narrative to the point where you say the election was so rigged and not. Because what you eventually do is that your followers therefore lose faith in the democratic process, and they won't show up at the polls the next time. Mm-hmm. So you may think that you are saying something, but you're actually destroying certain things. So sometimes when people talk in a certain way, they don't understand the unintended consequence of what they are saying. That after some time, people no longer, and some of this political, trust is being broken because of some narratives. And I think was speaking about this platform, you drive a narrative to the point where you don't know when it becomes self-destructive there, so it becomes self-destructive there. I think if people push what they are thinking in a certain way, even people who hold political power will know that, we're coming up against something that is different here. And this is really a smart way of communicating this stuff. And, then you can, bring about the change. Because even, for example, even what we call the 4 cardinal points, let's say of UPN, of free education and all of that, wasn't just something, as I learned from some, that he just devised. It was in a political battle that some other person said something and they looked at it and said, we're going to lose if we don't bring up something for these people. And they came out with the 4 cardinal. So the way this thing works is not...
we are frozen, and we had...
It's not... You're not dealing with religious leaders, pastors. You are dealing with people. We're frozen.
No, but that's okay. That's okay. You can just use this opportunity to round off. And I will just say this. So
that's just what I want to say. I just want to tell people that they should please, that's my most important message, they shouldn't lose. I know you people, have this, they shouldn't lose faith in the country.
I was going to ask you to deliver a message.
Super Eagles, but I guarantee Nigeria will be great.
Yes, I was going to ask you actually to use the last 2 minutes that we have to just speak your mind to the youth of Nigeria. You have 2 minutes to do it. Just speak your mind.
All right, too quickly. Well, what I want to say to young people out there, all right, and I've consistently said this, they should not allow their youth to be wasted, all right, in any sense of despondency or discouragement or thinking that, look, the country does have they can fight for the country and make this country great. Okay, the important thing is that they have to understand, politics in itself, and understand that you may be like somebody said, he said, I will master politics. He said, because politics is the mother of every other thing that you do in your civic life. I will master politics, that my own children may be able to master medicine, master architecture, that the next generation may be able to master arts and literature and all of that. What he was trying to say was that you have to have a generation that gets the politics right for other people to be able to get into other things there. And as brilliant as we have Nigerians, and they have gone to different parts of the world, and the reason why they left was politics. Everything boils down to politics. And so they should study politics, master it, and understand how it works, so that they can get involved intelligently in politics there, where you don't show too much emotion in things that you are doing, but you are very strategic in it, and master it so that they can transform the nation and bring about things. Because these decisions are political. America moved its capital to Washington for no other reason than a negotiation that was going on in the Senate in America. It was political. And people have to understand that when we say Washington, Washington is not because of anything. It was people must understand politics. And so they should, understand it and get themselves involved in it. And there will be a massive change and transformation of this country.
Thank you very much. I want to use this opportunity to thank you for coming on today's show. As usual, I listen to you and I learn. And I hope that Nigerian youths have listened to you too. And of course, this would be spread on all our social media platforms and so on and so forth. And we all look forward to a very bright and better country into the future. Pastor Poju Oyemade, thank you for all you are doing for Nigeria.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for all you are doing for Nigeria. Thank you for all you have done for the youths of this country. And we wish you the very best into your future.
Thank you so much, sir.
That's all we're going to have this morning on 90 Minutes with Mathematical. Join me again next week, Saturday, for another edition. And until then, bye for now.